I'm going to make something with a strange name this morning. It's called a Machito. The only place I ever heard that name used was in street food vendors in Mexico. It's actually a breakfast taco. It's extremely popular there, and I'm going to make one for breakfast this morning. Well, the street vendors in Mexico cook in huge round pans. It looks kind of like a frying pan when it's just barely sloped up on the sides, and it's called a comal. Of course that's to cook a lot in, but since I'm only going to make one, I'll just use this pan here. Now, for the filling, the only thing that is needed is some potatoes, which these are actually French fries that were left over and cut up. You can use regular hash browns or whatever you want. And here's some onions. And this is actually chopped up ham because that's what I happen to have. Now you can use bacon or sausage or steak or anything that you want in there. And in their Machitos, they will have 3 or 4 different choices. Mostly though, it's chorizo sausage. That's the one chosen by most people, and if they have more than one, you just tell them which one you want, and that's what they'll make it out of. Now what I'm going to do is let this cook here until it gets hot. Their pan is much hotter in the middle than it is along the edges, so they rake everything that they're going to use to make one to the middle, and as soon as it's hot, they break an egg into it. They don't even have to scramble the egg or beat it or anything else, just break an egg in there and start scrambling it around. And just mix the egg in with the potatoes and meat and onions. And scramble it to cook it. As hot as their pan is, it doesn't take but a few seconds to cook. All they do is just shove one down and put the filling in the middle of it. And this is just a plain round 6-inch tortilla, and I'll take it to the table and show you how to finish it up from there. They push it over to you, and there's a spoon there with 3 cups of salsa. The one on the very left is always the mild one, and it's about like you get with chips if you order chips. The middle one is picante, which is the hotter one, and the one I like. And the one on the right is Diablo, which means devil. And it'll set your shorts on fire. Now this is ready to take to the table, and only thing it needs is a little salt and pepper. Okay, here it is on the table, and I'll give it a taste test and see what I think of it. Now the other thing is how to pick it up to eat it. You pick up this end here, you hold it up with your ring finger in this one, you pull this side over here and this side over here, you pinch them together across the top, and you pick it up to eat it. And it's just pretty darn good. And you eat as you walk down the street, and you see people walking on the streets eating these all the time, and nobody thinks anything of it. So I'm going to finish my breakfast and my coffee now, and I have a story for you. Well, that was just a pretty darn good breakfast, and I don't know what it cost me to make it here with the egg and the tortilla and whatnot, probably 25 or 30 cents. And I just checked, and the going price now is 20 pesos, which is $1. But now it's time for a story. As I told you some time ago, Sears, after 21 years, fired me on my 50th birthday. So I decided to do other things, and I have never had a 9-to-5 job since. And I'm not bragging or anything, but I think I've made more money now over the years than I would have had I stayed with Sears. But at any rate, I've had a whole lot more fun, had a lot more freedom, had more chances to do things and things like that. And some of the odd jobs that I've done has been delivering airplanes and things of that sort. And I'd flown to Baja and Mexico a number of times and had some experience in that, and put out the word that if you wanted to fly to Mexico and you felt unsafe, I'd fly with you. You just pay me my normal daily rate and plus expenses, and I'd take you down there, take you wherever you wanted to go. And this is while we were still living in Oklahoma, which is 12 or 13 years ago. We have lived here 10 years. Got a call from this doctor in Omaha, Nebraska. And he said that he had his own airplane and wanted to fly to Mexico, but was hesitant to do so because of all the paperwork and everything like that. And I told him what I charged, and he says, that sounds very reasonable. He says, I have a wife and 2 daughters, and we made arrangements that he would pick me up in, I lived in Moore, which is Oklahoma City, and he'd pick me up in Norman, which is where he and his wife had both gone to school. So it would kind of be a homecoming for them to come down and pick me up. So They flew down, landed at Westheimer Airport, spent the night with some friends there, and we met early the next morning for breakfast at the restaurant there at the airport, and then we took off from there and entered Mexico and flew down a ways on the east side, east coast, and spent the night. And some of the places they wanted to see was Mexico City and Acapulco and places like that. Now in Mexico they have two levels of living. They have the tourist level, and then they have the locals, the level that they live on, and it's a big difference between the two. The tourist level is a bit like going to a hotel in Hawaii or anywhere else. The rooms are expensive. They try to keep you there in the hotel. The restaurant is expensive. And you don't really see any of Mexico at all going to those hotels. But we flew to Mexico City, and we checked into a nice hotel there in the tourist area, and I took him. His wife didn't want to go and didn't want to take his daughters, and we went down into the area where the locals lived, and I showed him around there, and I don't think he was too impressed, but I showed him the street food vendors there and the local market and things of that sort. And then we flew on from there to Acapulco, which is, as you know, been in movies, and it's on the coast, and it's just pure tourist, and you might as well just go to San Diego or South Padre Island or Mobile, Alabama, or Hawaii, or any place like that, and check into their top motels or hotels, and you got the same thing. But at any rate, we came back up to another place there, and his airplane was a Cessna 206, and it could be landed anywhere. It was really a nice airplane. It was a 6-passenger single engine, cruised at about 170, and it had really long legs with the long-range tanks in it. It would fly 1,500 miles on just the tanks that it carried with it if you filled them all the way full. So I decided to take him to some place he had never been before in the kind of airport. So I said, we're going to go to Copper Canyon. I said, you've been to Grand Canyon, and if you thought it was nice, you haven't seen anything. So I got us checked into the Las Barrancas Lodge, which sits right on the edge of the canyon, and their airstrip is gravel and dirt and short and rough and uphill, and it's 8,000 feet. He'd never, I don't think he'd ever flown his airplane at 8,000 feet, much less landed on an airstrip at that altitude. And he did a pretty good job. And we spent the night there, and then we had one day left that we could waste, kind of. So I said, well, I've got another place, let's go. Let's fly across the Sea of Cortez and go to the Hotel Serenidad, where it was a Saturday, and we'll go to their pig roast there. they have a big pig roast, and I think you'll enjoy that. So that's what we did. We flew over to Mulahey and landed there at the hotel. They have their own airstrip. It's dirt, but it's longer and smooth. And the funny thing about it, as soon as you taxi up on the ramp there, kids come running out wanting to sell you rocks for 100 pesos each. There's no rocks around there to put under your wheels to chock them to keep it from moving if the wind blows. And they want to sell you 4 rocks to put under your tires. Of course, as soon as the airplanes leave there, they pick the rocks up, carry them over, hide them behind a rock wall there, and wait till the next airplane lands and they'll sell the rocks all over again. But anyway, we went to the pig roast, and it was, as usual, it was very good, and they were impressed by that. And we flew back, landed at El Paso, checked them through customs there, and we flew on back to Norman, and they were going to spend the night there before they went on home. But it was a great flight, and he wrote me a check for my $200 a day, and they paid all my expenses while I was gone. And not only that, but he was so impressed and everything that he stuck a $500 tip on the check, which was a pleasant surprise. But that was my last flying trip to Baja. The drug dealers and crime got so bad down there that I just certainly didn't want to take an airplane in there, and especially one like his that which happens to be exactly what the drug dealers and drug runners are looking for, and stand a good chance to get it hijacked. But that's my story for the day. Hope you enjoyed it. God bless America. God bless Texas. And you folks have just a fantastic day. Bye.